So your
Well, let them
existence
have a chance to speak then.
requires these laws of logic in order to
Exactly.
function.
You've claimed that there's a beginning of the universe, of everything that exists.
Hold on
Now,
one second. I want to follow up on what he said.
fire away.
So how do you use, there were theists before you existed, and they used the laws of logic. How are you using it now?
I'm sorry, sir, the same way everybody does. Because,
Okay, great.
again, this is Romans chapter 1, starting at verse 18. It says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and wickedness of men." All means all.
He's asking you,
To
though,
be
not the
known
book.
about God is plain to them, and them is everybody, because God has shown it to them. Once again, that's everybody. Namely, his eternal power, his divine nature. Hold on to this one. His invisible attributes have been clearly perceived, clearly seen, ever since the creation of the world, in everything that has been made, so that no one, including you, sir, including me, we have no excuse. The fact of the matter is this, sir, that it doesn't matter about you, me, or anybody else. We have no bearing on the laws of logic. Our existence does not add to or take away from the laws of logic. Our
It does say that
existence
specifically.
requires the laws of logic. So now, since in order for us to exist, in order for us to have what's called the fundamental ability to communicate, the necessary preconditions for intelligibility and functionality, in order for us to have that, that doesn't come from us, and it doesn't change over time. We are constantly changing over time. Our physical world is constantly changing over time, so these things can't come from the physical world either. That's why these things are called metaphysical laws or supernatural laws. So once again, what causes them to be? What causes them not to change over time? And what's going to cause them to be here again tomorrow?
Could I get in real quick? Then somebody else can go.
If you can or not, sir. If you're asking permission, that would be may I.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, what I'm going to say is basically that when you're asking about whether or not these laws of logic apply at different points, even when there's, say, no minds at all in a universe, like hypothetically, right? There's no minds at all, and you're asking, do the laws of logic apply? And the reason why the answer seems like it's yes, and it is yes, is because we are projecting our propositions currently and talking about something that happened in the universe at one point, or something that may happen in the future, even if there's not going to be any minds then. And so the point is that a proposition can exist now that describes something that's back then. That doesn't mean that there was actually something called the law of logic at the beginning of the universe.
Really? Let me ask you a question, sir. How did you identify a proposition? Did you use the law of identity to identify a proposition? Did you use the law of non-contact?
The law of identity
I'm sorry, sir. I'm speaking. Here's where you need to be taking notes. When the teacher is speaking, the student should remain silent. Now, once again, how did you identify the proposition? How did you compare and contrast this proposition with something that wasn't the proposition? And it's either true that you're using these laws of logic to identify the proposition, or it's not. Right there is all three of the major laws of logic, the necessary preconditions for intelligibility, that you are saying that, hey, we just really don't need them. They just are. They just poofed into existence out of nothing. No, sir. Everything functions from the laws of cause and effect. Everything in the physical world that had a beginning had to have a cause. Everything that had a beginning is called an effect. Every effect needs an adequate cause. Now, when we are looking at certain natural laws, like laws of physics, they had a beginning. Laws of gravity, they had a beginning. Laws of chemical reactions, laws of biology, they had a beginning. But they don't change over time. So they need an eternal, universal, and unchanging lawgiver. The laws of logic, they are eternal, universal, and unchanging. They have always existed, but they are not self-explanatory. They are not self-existent, and they sure as hell do not tell you where time, space, and matter comes from. So they leave huge gaps in your argument that you don't seem to be able to overcome.
So it might
Well,
be helpful if we
just to-
keep this back and forth
yeah.
to like 30 seconds so we can answer. And the question you
I don't
posed
do
was
30 seconds, sir. If you haven't noticed, I'm a
fine.
teacher, and I teach for at least 30 minutes
No.
at a time.
Yeah, I'll
I've
just
been
respond to
out
Not your
of
students.
I've been out of school for a while now, but as you can imagine, you asked if the laws of logic had existed before myself, right? Preceded me. I mean, I assume you're older than me by maybe a bit. How were
How old
you
are you,
making
sir?
intelligible? I'm 38.
I'm 61.
There you go. So how were you making intelligible, coherent sentences and thoughts before I was born?
That's quite easy, sir, because the laws of logic pre-existed myself, pre-existed my parents.
And me. So there you
I'm
go.
sorry, sir. The laws of logic are eternal, universal, and unchanging. Would you agree, sir, that when we use the
Not
Hubble Deep
laws of logic
Space
evolve.
Telescope, we look into deep space, into another galaxy, and we can identify stars and planets,
What's a
comets,
fail?
and other stellar events? Would you agree, sir, that that's how that works?
I would just like to really quick respond to the first part of the response from before. Just that, I mean, the laws of logic themselves are propositions. So you asked, like, how do I identify the
No,
proposition?
sir, they're
and
not
do that?
propositions.
Well, they could,
They're
like,
laws.
so
Laws,
right. I
and
mean,
again, I'm a science teacher, sir. A law is a pattern observed in the physical world repeatedly and exclusively without contradiction.
right.
That's what
It's
the
actually
definition
language that
of
describes
a
the
natural
pattern.
law is.
It's
All
actually
right, so
a
listen,
language that
so
describes the pattern.
when you say A equals A, right? That's a propositional statement that could be true or false of the world, right? And it's true, right?
Actually,
If
sir,
it were,
if A ever doesn't equal A according to the law of identity, then we would not be able to know it. If ever equaled, if A was ever A1 or A
yeah.
was ever B, then guess what? We could not identify one another. We could not identify differences in different chemicals. That means no chemical reactions, no chemical compounds, no able
Well,
to view
all that
things.
it
That
means,
means no life. So if A is A ever changed over time, we would not be here to complain about it.
well, I mean,
Mr. Batman, I would like to say that everything comes from natural sources, nothing to do with any supreme being. Do you have any proof of God whatsoever?
I believe that you've requested the information, but you've made a claim at the same time. That
I think
something
we were
can't
getting
come
hung up
from nothing.
earlier. Well,
Sorry.
the point here
Oh.
is he's saying that there is a law out there, physical law, with laws of standard laws of logic, and I think the hang up here is not realizing that it's actually just a language to describe the patterns. He's saying the law is the pattern.
Actually, sir, no, I'm not.
right. So,
I'm
well, let's
saying
just
You
say,
did.
the law itself is not simply descriptive; it is prescriptive. Now,
No.
even if it
well,
even
it
if
has
it was,
normativity,
I'm
right?
sorry, sir, I'm still speaking, and here's where you need to shut up and take notes. Even if the law was simply descriptive, that still doesn't tell you where it comes from, why it doesn't change over time, and why it's going to be here tomorrow. Because even if it was just descriptive, you should be able to create anything your little heart contends, like a one-ended stick, a square circle, a round triangle, a married bachelor, military intelligence. You should be able to create any of these things and have these laws simply describe them. But you can't do
Those
that
fall within the patterns
Okay.
of
because
reality.
these laws
Hey,
are
Fall
hey
within the
guys,
prescriptive
patterns of
laws.
reality.
Now,
guys, give me a
That's
since
second.
they are
breaking.
Sorry, Mr. Batman.
prescriptive laws, you
Mr.
still
Batman.
are left trying to explain where they come from, why they work the way they do, and why they don't change over time. But other than
That
that, you're doing pretty
breaks
good.
the laws of logic,
Guys, give me a sec.
essentially.
Shanius, give me a sec. Hey, Avery,
The
now
law of
Sebastian,
identity. You
Shanius,
can't make a
give me a
square
sec.
a triangle.
Shanius, give me a sec. I'm sorry. Avery
Sorry.
Anderson, Nastasia, and Papa Jedden. If you guys want to talk, now's a good time because there's more people that want to come in. So I want to let everyone have a voice.
I'll,
So.
I'll mute myself. All right.
Alright.
That's fine. I'm sorry for interrupting you, by the way. I just wanted to have other people talk too.
No, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
It's your time. I'll
All
mute
right.
myself.
I
All right.
appreciate it, bro. I'm sorry. Go ahead, guys. Avery, Nastasia, and Papa Jaden. Go ahead.
Alright, so I was just gonna ask, what I know what atheism is, but what is the difference between theism and atheism?
And who's that question to?
Go ahead, Mr. Batman, if you want to answer
Papa
that.
Jaden.
Oh, thank you. Since I teach apologetics, I'd be happy to tell you what the difference is. Atheism, A means without, no. Theism means God or no theistic position. And actually, if you look at it in the original Greek, it literally means no God for
Fail.
me. Okay. So when you're
Gnosticism,
talking
you're
about a
explaining.
theistic position, you're talking about any position that has a supernatural being that can explain certain things, such as where we came from, why we are here, what is our purpose, and where are we going when we die.
Alright, thank you. That's all I really wanted to know.
All right,
Mr.
Papa.
Why?
Batman, do you
Why
have
does
any?
it explain where we go when we die? I can explain a god, but I can't explain why I live on or something happens after.
What was the question directed to? Go ahead, Mr. Batman. I think
Oh,
it's
sorry. It was
This gentleman
yeah.
had
So
been speaking over me, so I lowered his volume quite low. If he's trying to talk to me now, I probably want an apology from him first.
I don't know about that. I can't get an apology. I don't know if I can get an apology from him.
right.
But
Do you want to? If you turn my volume up, I'll apologise if I spoke over you.
he said he'll apologize if you turn his volume up, Mr. Batman.
Done.
Right. So why does it resemble down to one thing?
I'm sorry, sir. I thought you said you were going to apologize.
Okay, I apologise for speaking
Thank you,
over you
sir.
if I did.
Now, can
By the
we
way,
agree
I am
upon
in
something?
England,
Can we agree
I'm
upon something real quick, sir?
sure.
Great. When you're speaking, I will not speak over you. When I'm speaking,
Abs-
you should sir, I'm still speaking and there you go again. Okay? When you're speaking, I will not speak over you. When I'm speaking, it would probably be a good idea for you to take some notes and don't speak over me because this is your last opportunity for this. Please ask your question.
I will follow up with that with an apology if I spoke over you. I am from England, by the way, so I'm not sure if ping or anything like that delay. But my problem is that you're basing it all on subjective, objective logic that God exists, not physical, not material, not naturalistical.
Are you done?
That's genuinely my problem.
Okay.
That I agree with a lot that you say, and I accept a lot that you say, which I'll hand to you. But it just doesn't. You have a belief in that. You don't have a knowledge claim. So you mentioned the word no earlier,
Yes, sir.
about 2 minutes ago, and it fails you. Simple as that. I'm
Okay.
fit.
Are you
By the
done?
way, I'll just let you know. I know that there is a delay. By the way, so I'll let it go forward.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't speaking over you, sir. I am a man of my word.
Yeah.
Now, once again, when I said I know, let's go ahead and define what knowledge is. Knowledge is a justified, true belief. In order to know anything at all, you have to know what is true. And you have to have a chain of evidence that can actually back up that knowledge statement, that truth statement, so you can trust the truth bearer. Now, you said that I was using logic, but if I remember correctly, I was using it in an inappropriate fashion. Well, okay. That's called fallacious nature of reasoning. Let's look at that. What area am I using that is a fallacious area of reasoning?
You're not including physics or mathematics. You're
Oh,
including philosophy and only the logic that's involved.
Okay, great.
And you are so just to like finalize, you're
Sorry.
exclaiming that is the only true nature of where God exists.
Oh no, sir. No, if I said that, I do apologize. That's not what I meant. You said I'm
Right.
not including mathematics. Is that correct?
Or yes, or physics.
And what else? And physics. Okay, great. I'm getting ready to do both of those. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay. In order to have mathematics, you have mathematical laws, laws of mathematics, such as truth, base 10 mathematics. Let's just go ahead and keep it simple because most of my tenure I've taught elementary and middle school. I'm getting ready. I just took a job teaching. I'm going to be teaching high school.
So this is objective notion. Sorry to butt in on you there. This is just objective notion from a subjective participant,
sir,
that you're mentioning.
Yeah. Just agree that when I'm speaking, you would not speak over me.
Yeah, fire away.
Thank you, sir. That is your last.
My apologies.
I am a man of my word, sir. I will mute you in a heartbeat. Now, you asked me to justify a couple things, and I'm getting ready to do just that. The fact of the matter is, sir, laws of physics dictate exactly how the physical world works. That's why they're called laws of physics. So, let me ask you a question, sir. Where do these laws of physics come from? Like laws of cause and effect. Everything works under the law of cause and effect. Like thermodynamics.
Big hungry fat ass mother, you fat ugly bitch. You sound like a school shooter, Batman. I'll slap the fuck out of you and your dead grandma, you fat bitch. Why you not talking anymore, you stupid bitch? Fuck wrong with you, little ass ass.
There we go. That's a turd right there that's disabled.
Sorry about that, Mr. Batman.
That's all right, sir.
Fucking hell. Sorry.
Laws of physics, such as laws
go
of
forward.
cause
Sorry,
and
I was
effect,
listening.
laws of cause and effect, laws of thermodynamics, not mention the first and second laws of thermodynamics, laws of chemistry. These laws must remain consistent throughout time. They must. That's why they're called laws. And I mentioned this earlier. A law. I'm a man of my word, sir. You are now muted. There we go. A law is a pattern observed in the physical world repeatedly and exclusively without contradiction. Now, in order to have a natural law that doesn't change over time, where does that law come from? Let me go ahead and help you to show you where it cannot come from. It cannot come from our minds because our minds are constantly changing over time. So that rules us out. It cannot come from the physical world because the physical world suffers from the second law of thermodynamics. Oh yeah, another one of these pesky laws that never changes over time that says everything is going from order to disorder. It's constantly changing. Well, that rules the physical world out. So where do these laws come from? They come from the metaphysical, the supernatural realm. They have to have a lawgiver that exists outside of the physical world that is imposing his will on the physical realm. Well, that's just
that escalated.
Okay. Now,
severely quickly.
Go back to mathematics.
Phineas, I don't think he can hear you. Go ahead, Mr. Batman.
Thank you, sir. Let's go back to mathematics. Mathematics also has these natural laws. You have base 10 mathematics. You have algebraic mathematics. You have
Oh,
Shoot,
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
just went through, just went right out
Pardon
my
the
brain.
pun.
Mathematics is not one of my favorites. I'll be completely. You have positive and negative mathematics. You have all these different laws of mathematics that never change over time.
Jesus.
Why? Now, let me give you an example. One finger plus one more finger is always and only what? Two fingers. This is called base 10 mathematics. I like to stay very elementary because it's apparently
So
you
1
need
plus
me to
1.
stay very elementary since you don't understand instructions. So, one finger plus one more finger is always and only two fingers. It's never three fingers. It's never five fingers. It's never 2 million fingers. It's always only two fingers. So, truth by its very nature is exclusive. Where do these laws of mathematics come from? Wow. They come from God's mind. It's how God's mind works. God's mind is logical, it's mathematical. That's why these laws are immaterial. You can't weigh one, taste one, touch one, measure one with a ruler. Why? Because they're non physical abstractions of a mind, an eternal, universal, and unchanging mind. Have a nice day, sir. Repent or perish. You're on your way to hell. Next.
All right. So
Hey, yeah, Mr.
really,
Batman, do you have any proof of God whatsoever?
Righty.
Yep, I sure do.
What's that?
Why is there something rather than nothing? This is the oldest philosophical question ever asked. Since
And
from
that's
nothing, I'm sorry, sir, shut up or I will mute you. Confirm you heard that.
confirmed that I heard that.
Yes, sir.
Roger.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm just tired of being spoken over. I'm done dealing with turds. It's been a long day. I'm not going to do this if you're not interested in the answer.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate the apology. And I really hope that we can have a good discussion. But let's
It's
be
almost like
clear.
he doesn't know that he
The
speaks over
oldest
people.
philosophical question ever asked by man is, why is there something rather than no thing? I wonder why. Because when we look at the surrounding environment from which we live, from nothing, nothing comes. Okay? So why is there something rather than nothing? Now you got to ask a more detailed question. How do we get from nothing to us, who are complex, intelligent, living, logical creatures who are able to self-replicate? Where does that come from? Oh, by the way, we live inside of time, space, and matter. That's where we do all this replication. Where does that come from? Oh, by the way, we also know that there are certain things that are absolutely true and other things that are absolutely false. Jesus said in John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. Okay, without him, where does that come from? We know the things that are absolutely wrong and absolutely right. You pick any morally, sexually abhorrent behavior, and I know it gets really touchy when you start mentioning certain subjects, but you look at homosexuality, bestiality, necrophilia, having sex with dead people, pedophilia. You look at any of these sexual perversions, will they ever be morally acceptable? No. Why? Because what's the scientific definition of a pervert? A pervert is any person who takes any system whatsoever and uses that system in a way that destroys or deforms the functionality of the system. This is why I love being a science teacher. Definitions mean things. So, if you have a person and they are using the sexual reproductive system in a way it was never designed to be used, it doesn't matter if they're putting their penis in a tree. They're a sexual pervert. If you have two men who are trying to have sex with one another, they're just as equally sexual perverts as a necrophile, bestiophile, pedophile. It don't matter. They're sexual perverts because they've just broken the sexual reproductive system. So let's see if we can figure out real quickly what the sexual reproductive system is ultimately designed to do. Oh, yeah, it's in the name. Sexual reproductive system. So, who designed the sexual reproductive system to work, and how do you know?
Okay, so I'd like to respond to some of that. That was an awful lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
me
I
too.
want to
Yeah.
I want to start at the beginning though. As far as why is there something rather than nothing? Okay, does not entail God. I believe that the answer to that is the natural necessity for opposites. So everything was naturally required to be the opposite of nothing. Then you get to the part where you're saying, how do we get here from something? I myself believe that energy / matter always existed, can't be created or destroyed. And we can trace everything back to the Big Bang within seconds, a fraction of a second, Planck length time to when the Big Bang started, as where everything originated, as far as came from the singularity. Anyway,
And
I
there's
would
also
say,
theories to go past that too. So
yeah, well, but and whatever would come before that, I would contest would have to be non-conscious. For you to assert something that's a conscious being with the power to create the universe, that necessitates some kind of serious proof, some kind of evidence that I have not heard. Your long speech provided no evidence of God. In fact, no evidence, no real evidence of God has ever come forward in thousands of years, and I will assert that never will come forward. So, I mean, don't feel bad. If anyone can prove God, they'll be rich, famous, and get a Nobel Prize. So I really wasn't expecting you to answer, and I was right.
Let me ask you a question, sir. Is it true that there's no evidence for God?
No real evidence.
I didn't ask you that, sir. Is it true that there's no evidence for God?
Some people could say they had an experience, but that's not like something that they
Didn't
could
ask you that either,
reproduce or
sir.
back
If
up.
you're not going to pay attention, I'll move on. You said it's true that there's no evidence for God. No real evidence. It's experiential. I don't care. Is it true that over the last 2,000 years or however long you want to look at, is it true that you let me rephrase the question. Is it true you said that there's no evidence for God?
No real evidence for God.
Great. Where does truth come from and how do you know it?
Truth is a common thing that everyone knows, and you know it too. It has nothing
I'm
to do
sorry,
with what
sir.
we're speaking of.
That's not the definition of truth. Truth is that which comports with reality. Truth is that which is real in the real world in real time, observably and testably so. This is why I love science, sir. Now, once again, since truth is that which comports with reality, and you just made a truth claim, how do you know anything at all to be true? Where does time, space, and matter come from so you can observe truth statements?
Relevant time, space, and matter came with the Big Bang. Started with the Big
I'm sorry,
Bang.
sir.
Everything's natural.
Your argument just now stated that the Big Bang is the cause of time, space, and matter. Would you
Well,
agree that the Big Bang is comprised of time, space, and matter?
that's the beginning of relevant time, space, and
I'm
matter. I
sorry,
believe
sir.
there
Would
was.
you agree that
I'm
that
still
the Big
answering. I can't
Bang,
answer a question.
the
Only
Big
you
Bang,
can, and I
sir,
can't. I
the
was
Big
still answering.
Bang is comprised of
I was still
time,
I was still
space, and
answering a
matter.
question.
So
I was
what
still
you
answering a
just did,
question.
sir,
I'm going to
here's
mute
what you
you.
did. You
Would you
just
like to
used
be
what's
muted?
called
I'm going to mute you.
circular reasoning.
I'm going to
Guys, one
Circular
at
mute
a
you.
time.
You keep
argumentation.
One at a
interrupting.
time. Guys, one at a time. All right.
oh
Why are
nice.
you allowed to interrupt me?
Wait, so did he
Oh,
leave?
He was here for a while, but
We gotta
anyway,
check. Man.
It's in the on.
he's in the
Okay.
audience.
Good
Mr.
to
oh,
know.
Batman,
sorry.
come back
Mr.
in. I'm
Intelligent
Mr.
sorry.
Batman,
conversation.
come over here.
You're good. Come on, Mr. Oh, he left.
All right, we're done. We're done.
That's unfortunate.
It had to end
Sorry.
eventually, right?
Sorry
Wait, so
about that if it was
I'm
my call.
confused about his definition of pervert. So like he when he says a
Yeah,
pedophile,
yeah, that was.
I guess.
Yeah,
He
that
says
was
it all the
really.
time. If you're familiar with him, he says the same thing all the time. He's really into that.
I know, but like it's a very confusing definition. I don't understand how a pedophile would be a pervert under that definition.
He's just trying to say this so that that's what he believes proof of God is. I mean, the question is proof of God, and he starts getting into that. It's really, a sad thing to go off on that tangent, in my
Mr.
opinion.
Batman? Did I miss Mr. Batman?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
What
I
the
recorded it,
hell?
though.
I told. Hey, this is why you shouldn't leave, Gaspar.
Yeah, well, dude, I got a family life and stuff, and I can't just hang out all day arguing
Yes,
about
you
God.
can. Forget about your family, dude. That's more important.
Well, Mr. Batman is pretty important. He might trump family life, that's for sure. I'm so jealous because I open up Discord, I look, and I see all the people. I see Mr. Batman's in there, and I jump in, and he's not here, but y'all are talking about how he was talking about pedophile. Like that's his thing. Like that's his catchphrase. Is like talking about perverts and pedos.
To be fair, he has a brain injury, so we can't.
Wait,
expect
really?
No. Hey, look.
He was here for a while.
I'm not like he is my hero. Like I respect him as he's my
Why
favorite
is he?
philosopher.
Why is he your hero?